Hey guys, so for today's video, I want to talk about an item that I purchased, or a couple of items that I purchased about 2 months ago now that I have been trying out, and I wanted to review them and demo them for you. And those are Artis makeup brushes, and I'm holding the box upside down. So Artis makeup brushes came out like really big last year. They are probably around for longer than that, but like last year these became everything on Instagram because Kylie Jenner was using them. And for the last year and a half, I've really wanted to try them, but they're so expensive that I just couldn't talk myself into it until Christmas time, and I decided to splurge on them for myself. So I wanted to give you guys an in-depth review of these brushes because I'm sure that a lot of you guys wanted to try them out and like me just weren't sure if they were worth the investment, especially for those of you out there that already have a ton of other makeup brushes, or for those of you that don't have any makeup brushes at all and can't imagine spending this much money on makeup brushes. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the video. I'm going to talk you through each brush in these two kits, go over the kind of kits that the brushes come in, and then show you guys clips of me applying makeup and what I use the brushes for. So starting off, I got one of the Artis brush kits, and this is the Elite Collection Smoke Finish 5 brush set. Inside of the set is the Circle 1, Linear 1, Oval 6, Oval 4, and Oval 3 brush. Now, because I only got the 5 and not the 10, it was missing the focal point of the line, in my opinion, which is the Oval 7 brush. The Oval 7 is the biggest brush in the line, I believe, that is more commonly used. I think there might be one or two bigger than this. I liked these sets of brushes rather than getting the 10 set or something like that because, one, I do have a lot of makeup brushes already, so I just didn't need a full line of brushes, but I liked the oval brushes the most. They're the ones that interested me the most, and getting these two sets were really the best option for me. Looking at the brushes, I'm just going to use the Oval 7 to demonstrate. Each one has a very similar kind of build, which is a very thin handle with just a rubberized grip on the front and a rubberized grip on the back, a very thin neck portion, and then a metalled cover and a flat brush head. Also, when considering the build of these brushes, I love that the neck of the brush is fairly thin because if you notice, the brush has a little bit of a flexibility to it. And one, I think that's a sign that it's really well made, but also that means that when you're trying to apply pressure with the brush and force it down, it's actually absorbing a little bit of the pressure, so you're not really pushing down into your skin at any point. You're really just applying just the slightest bit more pressure. So these brushes are really different than other makeup brushes that I have purely because of the fact that they almost look like a spoon with a makeup brush attached to it rather than a kind of paintbrush style makeup brush, which is very common. It also makes the brushes a little bit difficult to clean, which is one thing that bothers me just because you can't really get into the bottom of the brush hair. And all of the brushes are really dense, really nice brush hairs. I don't know how to say that. They're made with something called Cosme fiber, which is an animal-free, I guess, synthetic hair of some sort. You can probably look it up more online. I'll try and list some stuff in the description bar. But these brushes just have so many little brush hairs and fibers that they're just densely packed, and they end up giving off really pigmented applications. So I'm gonna go through each brush down the line, describe what I use them for, and compare them in size to other brushes. Starting with the Oval 7 brush, this is the biggest brush that I have from their line, and personally it's my favorite. So this one I use to apply my foundation all over my face, and what I love about it is that it's not very streaky. In fact, it's basically streakless. It applies my foundation really quickly, really evenly, and I get through everything a lot faster because of how quickly this guy can cover my face. If you guys look, he's basically the size of my cheek or the size of my nose. According to Artis, you can use this brush for your foundation, blush, contour, highlighting, bronzing, and setting. So basically anything that you really need a brush for, you can use this guy, but in my opinion, he's really the best for foundation or setting powder. Next up is the Oval 6. So compared to the Oval 7, the Oval 6 is about half of the size, maybe a little bit less than that. And when I first started using this guy, I was really hopeful to use him as my foundation brush. However, I just didn't feel like he was doing as great of a job as he could be, just because it was a little small, so it was harder to work with the product to get it all over my face. And by the time, depending on the foundation that I was using, by the time that I would get to the other side of my face with the product, this side had already kind of set into place and it wasn't as easy to work with. So I do love this guy, just not for foundation. So what I actually use this for is to apply my concealer and to blend it out. So I use two different kinds of concealers that I'm going to be demoing this product with. The first one is a brightening concealer, and if you guys can see when I'm using this brush, it just blends out the color just into a small area. And when I'm using like small patting, almost stroking motions with this brush, it just keeps the product all in one place. So when I get to applying my regular concealer, it gives me really pigmented, heavy coverage without looking cakey or anything like that, while also blending out the product. So I've noticed with these brushes, they actually don't absorb so much of the product just because of how densely packed the brush is. So if you're not like trying to force it down so much, you're just blending out the product rather than moving the heavily moving the product or absorbing the product into the brush with every stroke. The other reason why I love this brush for concealer is because it's actually the perfect size for right underneath your eye. This brush literally fills that kind of triangle shape that a lot of people try to get with their concealer, but it does it automatically. And because of the curved shape of the brush, the oval shape, you can kind of wing it out and you can change how much of the brush you're using at a time. And because of the curved edges, you can also get around your nose, apply your concealer to your forehead, things like that. It's really precise and it keeps the product where it's supposed to be. The next brush is the Oval 4. So the Oval 4 is again about a quarter of the size of the Oval 6 brush. Obviously there's an Oval 5 in between it, so there's a little bit more of like a jump down. This brush I like to use to apply my cream contour. Now, because not everyone uses cream contour, you can use it with regular bronzing powder or any kind of darker powder that you want, or powder in general. I just like it with my cream contour. I think these brushes are best when used with cream products. I don't know why, but I just kind of feel that way. I love this brush for bronzer because it can actually get you very fine contoured lines and it applies the product exactly where you want it to. So you can get very sharp contouring marks with it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I like this guy for. However, I don't blend out the color with this brush because it's so small. So instead, I'll go back to one of the other brushes. Getting into the three smallest brushes of the lines, these are the ones that I really don't use quite as often just because I don't have as much of a purpose for using them. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the Oval 3. So again, compared to the Oval 4, this guy is a lot smaller, again, about a quarter of the size, maybe half of the size. And I honestly haven't had much of a reason to use this. You can use it to contour like the sides of your nose or to apply eyeshadow. Personally, I just don't need this on a daily basis for those reasons. So what I decided to demo it with was applying my highlighter, because I just think this is a really good sized brush for applying that really packed on like shimmer that you want when you're going for a really glam highlight. So I applied it to the tops of my cheekbones, to the tip of my nose, and to my cupid's bow just a tiny bit. One of the brushes that I actually really like from the line is the Linear 1 brush, which has a much different shape than all the other ones. It has the same kind of spoon look to it, but it's basically just a straight line. So a lot of people use this to apply like liquid or cream eyeliner. Personally, I just could not get that exact of a feel with this without a lot of practice, and I just love liquid eyeliner. So I really like using this guy for creating a more smoky line around my eyes and for applying eyeshadow to my lower lash line. I just kind of use it like a toothbrush almost and wiggle it back and forth, and it just deposits product in such a nice smoky way that It's a really good brush for that purpose. And finally, the brush that I honestly don't even know if I've ever used it is the Artis Circle 1 brush. So their smaller brushes are definitely the ones that I don't find as much of a purpose for, but this brush is the one that people like to apply lip colors with. Personally, I'm just not going to take the like dough applicator of a liquid lipstick and apply it to this, and then apply it here, and then clean it every time that I want to change the color. So I just haven't used this as much. Today, I used it to apply eyeshadow or a highlighter to the inner corner of my eyes. I think it's great for that because it does fit that area nicely. I just don't use it all the time. And I don't use it for concealer just because I think it's too tiny. I don't know. You could use it for that, and that's what they recommend it for. I just don't. Overall, when it comes to the Artis line, I think that you're definitely getting what you're paying for in the line itself. But again, it is very expensive. So I understand that not everyone wants to splurge on these brushes, but I do think that they're actually really, really amazing. Specifically, the bigger ones. If you're looking to just get one brush from the line, I definitely think that the Oval 7 is the best thing in the world because it's just the best for blending and things like that. But if you don't wear foundation on a daily basis, then I would probably say you are good with the Oval 6 because there's like a $10 price difference if you're buying them singly. If you're looking to buy a set of the brushes, I definitely think that the 5 set is better than their 10 set just because the brushes that come in their 10 set, although you get a lot, I don't think that you're actually going to find a purpose for using them all if you have other makeup brushes, and they're just a lot of money, honestly. When it comes to applying powders and things like that, I definitely think that you're probably better off with just getting a regular brush from like Sigma or Real Techniques. But when it comes to foundation brushes, I do really think that Artis has got it right. I think that the build of the product is amazing. You'll get a lot of use out of them. The only downfall to them is that they are a little more difficult to clean because the brush hairs are so densely packed that you just can't get like your cleaning agent in there. So that is it for my review of the Artis brushes. I hope that you guys liked it. If you guys have any questions, leave it for me down below. If you tried out any of these brushes, also leave what you thought of them in the comment section down below so other people can read your feedback. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! And if you guys want to check out some of my other videos, you can go ahead and click the links here or click on my face to subscribe to my channel.